Welcome back to the Shatter the Script podcast. I'm your host, Jared May. How's that little hiatus out there? Damn pump jack, damn valve blew. We get another vacuum pump in there. Lead time back on that thing about 45 minutes. Anyway, yeah, it's been a long time coming. But our previous episode with the Stats and Scars crew, man, it was a lot of fun to do that and to get back in the saddle talking Dallas Cowboys analytics and I was going to say spring training, but OTAs into training camp with under Brian Schottenheimer. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. As I mentioned in that previous episode, we broadened everything, and this is your Shatter the Script episode of season 3. And there are plenty of topics to cover in recent news that if you want to cherry pick. But Israel just bombed Syria. That's a big one. Dave Portnoy is in talks to join Big Noon Kickoff with Fox Sports, along with, I think, Barstool Sports. We're going to be covering that. We're not covering Israel and Syria. Additionally, we're going to go back to the Shamar Stewart thing. The Texas A&M first-round draft pick into the Cincinnati Bengals. There is some thing, like kind of some. The trees are starting to shake again. The wind's starting to blow. There's some more additional information added onto that we're going to cover. Here's my favorite one that we're going to be covering in this episode, and it's Emmanuel Acho, Joy Taylor, Keyshawn Johnson, Chase Daniel, LaShawn McCoy, those shows that you saw on Fox Sports. They're cut, they're gone, bye-bye. And we're going to talk about why. We're going to talk about Fox's decision to bring these personas into their program. So that's my big and grand and favorite one that I want to cover. But those interconnect with different topics, such as the Dave Portnoy one. But we're going to lead off this episode with the top 10 quarterbacks according to players, executives, and coaches. I think this is a good one. I know I've already kind of did my own version of the quarterback rankings, and I need to do like a side-by-side comparison of the two. I'm actually going to pull up that on my Instagram because as things get hot and toasty over here in Texas, you tend to get dehydration and forget where you put things. But we've gained over 1.3 million followers on TikTok. So if you haven't been on there yet, you can find us at STS_pod or Shatter the Script. Also, our Twitter is available at STS_pod as well. Instagram at Shatter the Script. Our website, www.shatterthescript.com, is also available to find all of our episodes in a Spotify playlist or our most recent episode on YouTube, things like that. Now, if you like this video as well, if you're viewing it on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify or on YouTube, feel free to like, follow, and subscribe. And I appreciate all the support, as being an independent and doing all this sort of stuff individually is quite challenging. And all the support, even if it's just a couple of you guys, I've really enjoyed it. And we've got some really good feedback in season 3. And I'm looking forward to what the rest of the year has installed. We haven't even gotten to the good stuff yet, football season. But let's get right into this. So it's pretty interesting. The list starts off with, I'm going to start from 10 and kind of move my way down to 1. But if you want to know who's on the list in general, number 10 is Baker Mayfield, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Number 9 is Jalen Hurts, Philadelphia Eagles. Jared Goff at 8 with the Lions. Justin Herbert at 7 with the Chargers. Matthew Stafford with the Rams at number 6. Jayden Daniels with the Commanders. Lamar Jackson at 4 with the Ravens. Joe Burrow at 3. Josh Allen at 2. And Patrick Mahomes at 1. But I want to start at 10 and kind of work my way down. And I might cherry pick a couple of these. I'm probably not going to touch executively on all of them. But like I mentioned before, this was voted on by the players, executives, and coaches. And Baker Mayfield is coming off 2 seasons in a row where it's been impressive. I think he led the league in touchdown passes this past season, or tied with Lamar Jackson. I think Joe Burrow led the league in touchdown passes with 43, but he tied with Lamar Jackson at second place with 41 touchdowns. So Baker Mayfield almost eclipsed 5,000 passing yards. He's one of those guys to keep an eye on for sure. And there's some questions with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers losing their offensive coordinator, Liam Cohen. Duval, you remember that guy that is now the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars? That was their former offensive coordinator. However, they now have a run game with Bucky Irving. They now have an effective offensive line, which I'll go into. I have it here at the bottom. The offensive line with Baker Mayfield was a 66.7 PFF team pass blocking grade, which was ranked 20th. So it's not the best in the world, but it's not the worst. However, they were top 20 in a run blocking game with 65.4. Tristan Wirfs is obviously your best guy on the offensive line, but Bucky Irving, Rachaad White, there's someone else in there that I'm forgetting his name. Something like Dean Martin or something. But that committee backfield led by Bucky Irving is going to be quite explosive. I know a lot of fantasy owners are excited for Bucky Irving, but Chris Godwin, Jalen McMillan, Mike Evans, Cade Otton, those guys back into the fold with a pretty decent defense. It's going to be your NFC South again. And if Baker balls out with this, it's primarily because Chris Godwin got his get back after the ankle injury. And I don't have any doubts about Baker Mayfield's talent. I think wherever he has gone outside of the Panthers and Rams, where at the time that was an interesting portion of his life, he has been an effective quarterback. Now, when you put him in the top 10, I understand why they put him right there at number 10. Like, that's fair. If you want to, like I mentioned before, in my personal rankings, a lot of these guys are what I call disciples. And disciples are the type of quarterback that if you have the right foundation, obviously I'm alluding to biblical stuff in Christ, is that if Christ is your foundation and you have all the tools, all the accessories, all the coaching, the leadership that you need to succeed in a professional environment, then you will be and perform as a franchise quarterback. Simple as that. And so when these guys get their pieces, they're going to play well. They're going to produce. They're going to win football games. A lot like any quarterback that's kind of worth a crap in the NFL. We've seen it with Geno Smith before. We've seen it with Sam Darnold. We've seen it with Jimmy Garoppolo, Brock Purdy. These guys aren't guys, but they are the type where if you get them what they need to have, they're at least going to produce. And then there's levels to this shit with Baker Mayfield, obviously, who has a pretty decent arm. He's pretty accurate. He's mobile. He's obviously talented. I'm not comparing him to a Jimmy G. What I'm saying is, as a disciple, he's going to fluctuate. And this list is more based off of recency bias, in my opinion, than it is on overall analysis of how good quarterbacks in the NFL are. But like I said, you keep going down the list with number 9, Jalen Hurts. I think this is an appropriate spot for Jalen Hurts. And I've had countless arguments about this recently on X. And if you're not following me on X, I am most active on there. Most active. And I understand people ran away from X, but it is one of the most informative apps out there. I advocate it heavily. That's where you get, when y'all look at my Instagram and my TikTok, you don't see anything posted or there isn't an episode released. A lot of the content is being released on X as commentary, as my opinions on certain things. That's where you're going to get the most raw, authentic, on the dime take. But I went in here and I'm talking Jalen Hurts versus Justin Herbert, which Justin Herbert on this list is at 7, and in between them is Jared Goff. But number 9, Jalen Hurts, compared to a number 7, Justin Herbert, the people, what I call the bots, the Joe Schmoes, these people look at Jalen Hurts and say, well, the winning and the leadership is why he's X, Y, and Z. Let me ask you a question. If Jalen Hurts, with the number 1 offensive line, with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Saquon Barkley last year, and I know they fluctuated at coaches, but Howie Roseman, a very aggressive and successful general manager. I know he's had a 26 graded defense in the past, but this past year his defense was pretty freaking good. This stacked roster on both sides. With that, he has made it to 2 Super Bowls, lost one against the Chiefs and won one versus the Chiefs. And we've had to deal with the repercussions ever since that he is some goated American great quarterback. I don't even know why I put the word American in there. We're just American. We're all Americans, right? Yeah, it's Jalen Hurts. He's American. But when you go in here, all those things put together, he's a 2-time appearing quarterback, but players, executives, and coaches rank him on the bottom barrel of the top 10. A Super Bowl winning quarterback. They ranked Jared Goff, Justin Herbert, Jayden Daniels, Lamar Jackson, and Josh Allen, 5 non-Super Bowl winning quarterbacks ahead of a Super Bowl winning quarterback, Jalen Hurts, which if you guys trust the players, executives, and coaches be like unparalleled to some other analyst or some other guy like Emmanuel Acho who doesn't know what he's talking about, then didn't I have a point? Didn't I have a point? I have said countlessly, if you look at the raw talent of the quarterback, this pertains to an eye test. If you watch Jalen Hurts play, he is not a super talented quarterback. Now, he is devoted to the team. He's got a winning mentality. His preparation is on tack. He's a very durable player. They've got a cheat code quarterback sneak that works. But when you look at arm strength, when you look at accuracy, when you look at down the field play, not selective deep ball passing where you RPO them to death, they all sync up because Saquon Barkley's getting 8 yards per carry. You do a play action pass, roll out to the right, and chunk one deep to A.J. Brown, one time every 4 weeks, and then pull clips like that, put a 2-minute clip together over the past 3 years and say, look, he can't throw the deep ball like they do with every single freaking quarterback in the NFL. Not that. I'm talking when instead of just sitting in the pocket for 2 seconds and running right and throwing the ball out of bounds, there is a lot that Jalen Hurts is limited on the aerial attack. And a lot of that stuff a Goff can do, a Herbert can do, a Stafford can do, a Burrow, an Allen, a Dak, yes, a Baker Mayfield. Those people can do those things far greater than he can without the supporting cast that Jalen Hurts has. And so I'm just sick of this narrative, and I know I'm going to be in the minority here. I know I'm trying to make this is a hot take, but I strongly believe this, regardless of him winning a Super Bowl. Regardless. Nick Foles won a Super Bowl too, and nobody praised. I mean, I get it. He had a very short volume of stuff, but just this whole mentality of like he's got to be in the top 5 because he won a Super Bowl. We're not grading quarterbacks based off winning percentage. It's stupid because there's so many factors that go into ranking a quarterback. It's situation, it's coach, it's scheme, it's ownership / general manager, it's defense, it's run game, it's offensive line protection, it's injuries, it's everything. That's what I did on my list, and I took everything into account. And you know what? At the end of the day, you want to know why there were so many disciples? It's because the NFL fluctuates. There's head coaching changes, there's general management changes, there's injuries, and all those things tend to happen. But when the cards are stacked against them or all the stars are aligned, that's why I ordered them in the way that I did. That's why I ordered them with Herbert up front, Stafford behind him, Dak behind Stafford, then Jalen Hurts, then Baker Mayfield. And even me, being what I just said, ranked Jalen Hurts higher than what I should have. I did it out of respect. But Jared Goff, I've been a truther for him for a long time, just kind of as I've seen him throw. He's got that zip. It doesn't come out very pretty, but he's got that second level zip, hit the middle of the field, get a guy in a crossing route, and Amon-Ra St. Brown is off to the races. Jameson Williams, Brock Wright, Sam Laporta, you name it. But the system created Jared Goff. I do not believe that he is in truth a top 10 quarterback. I believe he can be, and he can play like it, but him being in that category, I think he's right on the cusp of 10. His peak is about where they have him at 8, but he's usually in that 9 to 13 range, always fluctuating. But he's been pretty stable over the past 3 seasons, and I've really liked what he's done in Detroit. So I'm fine with him being in between 8, 9, and 10 here. And then we talked about Justin Herbert. Now, to make things clear with Justin Herbert, he had 23 touchdowns and 3 interceptions in a kind of a run-heavy offense in 2024. I want to go through some of the headliners here statistically. I mean, his O-line grade was 16th in the league with pass blocking. It was 12th in the league in pressure rate. 22nd in sack rate was 7.9%. Rashawn Slater had an outstanding year, over a 90 overall PFF grade, which was second among tackles. Joe Alt had a pretty decent rookie season. He's going to be coming back. Their run game was top 15. It was 14th, 67.2 PFF run blocking game. Which rushing yards per game was second to last, which is ironic because I was just about to go in to saying that they really focus on game management. They really focus on running the football, and that's what they did. I mean, like J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards aren't the best to pair together. I mean, if you really want to stick to the running game. Now they get a Najee Harris, one-eyed, eye patch Najee Harris, who just got blown up in a firework accident, and Amarian Hampton out of North Carolina, who I really liked coming into the draft, which a lot of people did. But you put these guys together, and Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater and Zion Johnson in the middle, that could be a recipe for very effective gameplay for Justin Herbert. Now, like I said, I am not a hypothetical Justin Herbert truther. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not like fucking Emmanuel Acho saying that, oh, he's a social media quarterback and blah. No, what I'm saying is the criticism of his playoff unsuccessfulness is warranted. It's completely warranted. A lot like how Dak Prescott's is. But when you watch their raw talent, when you watch their ability on the field, the majority of the time, his arm talent, his arm ability, not just talent, but his ability to get the ball downfield with just genetically, his mobility, his pocket presence, what he's had to go through roster-wise, what he's had to go through head coaching-wise, all those things put together, I think Justin Herbert blows Jalen Hurts out of the water with talent. Blows him out of the water. And there's been a lot of comparison between the two. What do we got? Why do we got Justin Herbert? We've seen enough of him. Well, in that case, I know Joe Burrow went to a Super Bowl, but haven't you seen enough of him then? Because it's been like 3 or 4 years that he's played he hasn't been playing full seasons. He hasn't been getting to the playoffs at all. And you guys got him in the top fucking 3. So, and they're the same in talent. Burrow's had more. And I mean, come on. I know that sounds crazy, but Burrow's had everything he wants in terms of an offense, besides an offensive line. But weapons-wise, he's had it. And he does well with it when he plays a full, healthy season. Herbert has not had that. He's always had a hamstring riddled Keenan Allen, always on the PUP list within the first 4 weeks. Mike Williams, a wide receiver 3, Jalen Tolbert 2.0, Joshua Palmer, no real threat at tight end, and a banged-up backfield all the time with Brandon Staley and Kellen Moore as his OC, which won the Super Bowl, but Brandon Staley as your head coach. Not the best scenario. So I think there's a little grace that needs to be involved with Justin Herbert. But I get down into the nitty-gritty of this list. Stafford at 37. These are some guys I'm just not really going to touch too much on. Like the top 4, I think is it's fine. Like I personally would have Josh Allen above Patrick Mahomes based off talent alone, based off all the parameters that I've discussed in this episode. Year after year, he is up for MVP. We don't see that with Patrick Mahomes, although Patrick Mahomes has gone through a lot of injury-riddled seasons offensively with, Rashee Rice and Hollywood Brown and a degrading Travis Kelce, things like that. But Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, I'm all cool with being in the top 4. But, Stafford at 6 and Jayden Daniels at 5. That's what I'm talking about with recency bias. I'm cool with Stafford being somewhere in there with Goff and Herbert and Dak Prescott and Baker. Like my list is. Totally cool with that. But I don't think Jayden Daniels, as good as his rookie season was, I know a lot of people doubt these archetypes of quarterback, but I doubt them. I do. I just doubt them. I'm not afraid to say it. I don't know if they're going to be worth the shit this year. They do have a lot of pieces to be good this year, but adjusting my mic here. In terms of long-term effective play, we've only seen one season. And like I said in the previous episode, you can't get too far ahead of yourself we've seen one season of play. We saw one season of play and immediately put CJ Stroud in like the top 7, and then he blew up in his sophomore season. Now we don't know what to expect because was it the offensive coordinator? Was it not? Was it the weapons? Was it the injury? We don't know. It's too early to tell. So that's why I left the top 5 spot blank, because none of those other quarterbacks I mentioned, I believe, are top 5 talent. None of them. Not Jayden Daniels, not Hurts, not Goff, not Herbert, not Stafford, not Baker, not Dak Prescott. None of them. None of them have earned that 5 spot. So I left it blank. And I definitely don't think a going into year 2 rookie Jayden Daniels should earn the top 5 spot for going to a wild card game or a divisional game. I just don't. But that wraps up the list. Overall, I thought it was okay of a list. I mean, their top 4, I think they got right. Their 6 through 10 was pretty accurate. I think this ended up being a pretty good list. I do still think Dak Prescott should have been on it. I think Dak Prescott is a better football player than Baker Mayfield, Jalen Hurts, Jared Goff. And you can argue Justin Herbert. I think he's better than all 3 or 4 of those guys. On a consistent basis, on a career basis. That sounds biased. I don't care. I know my stuff with Dak Prescott. He is better than those people, talent-wise. Now we're going to get into the fun stuff. Now we're going to get into your Fox Sports debacle. I'm having problems with this. I need you to stay straight. Stay straight and sit down. You sit down. Okay. Look, Fox Sports canceled 3 FS1 shows. They canceled Speak, The Facility, and Breakfast Ball this month. They cut hosts like Emmanuel Acho, Joy Taylor, Keyshawn Johnson, LaShawn McCoy, Craig Carton, and others due to abysmal ratings. Literally abysmal. I don't even think they eclipsed 80,000 views. Like, it was bad. And so production costs and things like that, those tack up and they're losing money. So now they're saving money by letting all these bozos go. And believe me, Emmanuel Acho has blocked me on X because I exposed his bullshit. I can't even remember what it was that I said, but it got 10,000 views in 30 minutes because he was saying some honky-tonk shit on his channel, and it was blowing up so fast that he blocked me and reported the tweet, and it's gone. So nobody ever saw what I said, and I couldn't screenshot it. It's my claim to fame. I mean, I'll screenshot it by request. I'll screenshot that I'm blocked by him. That I had a text from Biden. Now, I've been waiting for this, if you can't tell. You know, Joy Taylor, obviously, if you're unfamiliar, she had a big lawsuit recently where essentially she was having sexual relations with guys like Shannon Sharp was mentioned, but mainly one of the executive people at Fox and Emmanuel Acho, which Emmanuel Acho was caught sausages in hand, you know, all 10 sausages out on the feet, you know, bare-toed and all in her apartment with some wine. You know for sure that big titty bitch was getting down. We're gonna put that right out there. That's what was happening. And so they don't want that at Fox Sports, which we're gonna hire it, but we don't want that. We don't at Fox. We don't want big titty women that talk about nothing and contradict themselves every 2 weeks and then sleep with their bosses to move up in the world. We don't want that at Fox. Now, it's nice at the time during the 5 minutes that I lasted, but outside of that, it's a horrible idea for business. And this legislation and the logistics of it all here at Fox, as big as we are, what we think we should do instead is get a degenerate gambling Zionist, Dave Portnoy, to fill in. I think that'll work. I think that'll work better if we get him on Big Noon Kickoff. But no, the whole Joy Taylor thing, that thing, it was good for a bit. I mean, it was horrible the whole time. I mean, she sucked my cock, but it was horrible. She forced me. A horrible idea from Fox. I mean, just hands down. And so on top of that, the Emmanuel Acho thing. This dude's his show's been canceled 2 or 3 times already. And the first one was it was like either stand up or speak or take a knee or put your fist up. I can't remember what it was called. But in this show, it was just he would talk about nothing. I'm gonna try and do an example off the dome. One of my favorite things about Justin Herbert is Justin Herbert takes what he doesn't know and applies it to what he doesn't think that he knows. And when you combine those together, you know what you get? Leadership. And leadership is what you do know. And what you do know constitutes what things around you, not in you, around you, those teammates that are always bickering and nagging around, you know what I'm talking about? Those things come into play. And leadership then turns into winning. And when you win, you don't know that you're winning. And because you don't know that you're winning, you win some more. That's what Emmanuel Acho sounds like. That's what he sounds like. And then he writes a stupid ass book like How to Have a Conversation with a Black Guy. Just ask him how he's doing. I don't know. We don't care. Talk to people. I mean, have uncomfortable conversations. Look, I'm not your brother. And you go on the show and they'll talk, Shady McCoy is saying stuff like ass on the show. Oh, Dak Prescott's ass. And you're like, is there a Y coming? Or are you just saying it because you're an Eagles fan, and they bring a big ass Eagle in there, then you get Chase Daniel in there that some intern that knows more than all the anchors combined is giving him a piece of paper to tell him what to say. And the only guy that knows his shit is the guy at the very end, either James Jones or David Hellman. Either of those guys, they know what they're talking about. They're actually pretty well educated. James Jones started to fall off towards the end, but at the beginning I was like, okay, he's starting to make a little bit of sense. He's the only guy. And I kind of pocket watched the show a little bit because I like seeing the dumb things that Emmanuel Acho says. And his brother, Acho's brother, actually does a pretty good job in college football. But anyway, Joy Taylor was there from 2016 to now. It was almost a decade worth of titties in your face. But the Herd and Speak and things like that, those are over 100,000 viewers per episode. So the producing cost of that is just... It's not great, but it's not horrible, which is what Speak and the facility were. And I said this myself, like Speak, the current one that was just canceled, that consisted of Keyshawn Johnson and Paul Pierce and Joy Taylor. What the hell is Paul Pierce doing on Speak to talk about football? And I said this on X, and everybody flipped out of their minds. What, NBA player can't talk NFL? Do you want an NBA player talking NFL? He didn't play a down in the NBA, and that could be me. Sure, you can come after me for saying that. I never played it down in the NFL. I get what you're about to say, but is that who you want to talk NFL? Because we got all these podcasts, and you guys seem to be fine with them. But when Paul Pierce is talking NFL for a major network, you guys are like, they're off the screen. It's like, oh, it was horrible. Now it's horrible, but at the time it was. How dare you say that about Paul Pierce? He's the truth. I'm like, well, he ain't speaking none of it. Yeah. So, and then you go into so long story short, those are canceled. They're gone. They're cutting the costs. They're terminating the contracts. They're getting rid of them. Emmanuel Acho's new show is going to be called, there's 3 different ideas that they got going on, or 2 or 3 ideas. They've got Work From Home, The Bench, and The Sideline. Like those 3 are great names for Emmanuel Acho's new show. If I were Joy Taylor, respectfully, and this is coming from the bottom of my black heart, this is coming from the bottom of my black heart, start an OnlyFans and do a live interaction with your fans to where when they tune in, they get to ask you. You say, all right, guys, like, here's the topic of the week. Okay, here's the topic for the week. Now, one of the best things that I think that Baker Mayfield does as a professional, I think Dak Prescott can win MVP whenever he has 35 plus touchdowns. Oh my God, she makes so much fucking money. Oh my God. Oh. I don't care who you are. I don't even care if you find it funny. That's funny. You missed out if you were listening to this. This is when you turn into the episode and watch. I hope I don't get fired. Which, give a shit. But, all right. Now, how I compare this to, like, obviously, who they're going to go in a new direction with. Now, the rumor is, somebody like Kay Adams. Kay Adams fantastic at her job. Very beautiful woman. Got to put that in there. Very beautiful woman. She is very social with the people, great on social media as well. But when she does her interviews, she doesn't try and do too much. She's pretty laid back. She's pretty neutral. She gets excited about super athletes. She gives young athletes a chance to have a voice and talk about their experiences in the NFL draft. And she's always on the go. She's a hustler. She's a grinder from what I've seen. People like that. That's the kind of woman that you would want in your organization. And so I think Kay Adams would be a great replacement. They've rumored some other guys as well. Of course, they're trying to counteract not Dave Portnoy. They're trying to counteract Pat McAfee with Dave Portnoy. But I want to continue into this pattern that Fox News has gotten itself into. Now, like the Shannon Sharpe thing, he was involved in that lawsuit, just allegedly by name at least, but he was in the picture with that lawsuit at Fox that involved Skip Bayless, Shannon Sharpe, Acho, Joy Taylor, and all these different guys. He was named in the Faraji lawsuit, which was the name of the lawsuit, and falsely accused by Skip Bayless of an affair. His 2023 Fox Sports 1 exit followed a Bayless feud mirroring Fox's pattern of toxic talent dynamics. Unlike Acho and Taylor, Sharpe thrived at ESPN's First Take and his Nightcap podcast, showing stronger analysts survive Fox's chaos. Now, that's not even the one I was referring to. When Shannon Sharpe made it to ESPN, then all of a sudden he's getting accused of sexual assault or whatever it was, something with a woman, something sexual with a woman. And when this started happening, he openly came out on the Nightcap and read some pretty explicit stuff and basically said, not today, as a fly in here. Not today. I'm not going to stand up for this crap. And good for him. Innocent until proven guilty. I do 100% believe in that. And I'm not a big Shannon Sharpe fan. I'm really not. I think a lot of it is very over exaggerated. His takes. I don't agree with the Lakers in 5 thing. I get it's funny, but when you're using it as an actual take to the fans and to the watchers, I think that's stupid. I think you should have an actual analysis and not just use a joke as the analysis. But that's cherry picking on Shannon Sharpe. But that carried on over to ESPN. So now ESPN has to deal with that. ESPN has to deal with, someone else in here is getting, into that mess. And we used to have Skip Bayless. And so I guess ESPN and Fox Sports just kind of trade back and forth with shitty analysts that get themselves into trouble legally. And Skip Bayless is not a very good person outside of the set from what I have read. And before, when I was supposed to work for ESPN Radio, I chose not to do it because of how nasty the business is. I would much rather say the stupid stuff that I'm saying now than to get on there and go through all that mess and have to keep my trap shut on certain topics. No way, Jose. But there is no, let's get into the Dave Portnoy stuff. Dave Portnoy allegedly, this is kind of breaking news today, breaking news in terms of rumors, but Dave Portnoy is in talks with, where is this thing? He's in talks to join Fox Sports' Big Noon Kickoff. I'm just going to freestyle. I was trying to be official, but he's in talks to join it, get a contract going with Dave Portnoy to join Big Noon Kickoff to counter Pat McAfee's College Game Day on ESPN, which, that's one thing. Because in Barstool Sports is most likely their content is going to join with Fox. I think that's a horrible idea. I understand Barstool Sports is big time, and they've made quite the name for themselves, especially what Dave Portnoy has done for small businesses. But his recent video, I can't ignore it. His recent video about that stuff that happened in that bar, and then how he yapped at his coworker that was beneath him in the hierarchy on a live show, like the crash out that I saw, that sort of personality, that the degenerate gambler personality is just not something I think the fans should want on a show. And this whole idea that we need to put these these toucans out there, like these chirping birds out there, like Pat McAfee and Dave Portnoy, these want to have a fun time, shirtless, flexing, yelling, beer drinking guys on the show. They're trying to think that that's going to cater to the young generation, and then that's going to be so much fun to watch. When in reality, what worked best in the past, and it'll work great today, is when you had a very good historical coach on there, which they replaced the previous one with Saban, but Desmond Howard, Kirk Herbstreit, and Lee Corso, and those guys had a great time on there. You get to try food, interact with the fans, do that sort of thing. But it was fun business. It wasn't fun. It was fun and business mixed together. They would get serious about their takes. It wasn't like, well, I'm going Iowa State, and I get it. They have a good time, and Pat McAfee has a great time, and I'm not trying to hate on him, but I don't want it to be a major trend. I think ESPN has their thing. It's Pat McAfee on College Game Day. It's Pat McAfee for some reason at the MLB All-Star Game getting asked about ICE deportations in Atlanta, Georgia, or in Athens, Georgia, whatever it was, for the All-Star Game. Wrong person to ask, by the way. Paul Skeens was dying up there trying to hold in his laughter. In a weird question for that certain time. But that's their thing. They wanted to go the party style, big drinking, no sleeve direction. Fox Sports has a fantastic college football analyst. That's Joel Klatt. He does a fantastic job. He's a great color commentator. I listen to a lot of his stuff. A lot of my opinions are aligned with Joel Klatt, as well as Josh Pate. And Josh Pate would be a fantastic, network hire for anybody to get him out there in person to talk college football. He really knows his stuff. He is my favorite college analyst. You can go that route. You can go the professional route, because Big Noon Kickoff does not compare with College Game Day. They don't do the same type stuff. If they're in town, then the people that are in that town will definitely tune in and join and surround Big Noon Kickoff. But College Game Day, a lot of times they have the best game. They have the best available option. Big Noon Kickoff, they just don't have the best games available. And I'm sure a lot of people have doubted Barstool Sports in the past, but I don't think Dave Portnoy is the best. It's not close. It's not close. I don't want to have that. I don't, and I'm not going to tune into that. I don't care. The only two people at Barstool Sports that, and I know the Bussin' with the Boys are no longer with Barstool Sports. I liked them. Those are two, like the first current pro athlete started podcast or whatever, and they branched out. They're doing their own independent thing, and Will Compton's killing it. So is Taylor Lewan. Shout out his first pitch at the St. Louis Cardinals game. But is Big Cat and PFT commentator. Big Cat and PFT commentator are really the only two that I think are worth a crap in that network. And they're just kind of some have fun guys. Like, we're going to have some fun, do our Mount Rushmores and things like that. No problem with that. I've liked them for years. But the counterparts on that show, the employee, just the look of, like, I don't know. They're not professional looking. They're scruffy beards, uncombed hair, wearing T-shirts and flip-flops, fat, degenerate gamblers. Like, a lot of them do that sort of stuff. And I've never been a fan with it. I have just gone so far away from Barstool Sports over the years because the professionalism seems to escape them. And I know that's not their niche. Their niche isn't professional. It's just dudes it's like dudes in a bar, grab a beer. That's what Barstool Sports is for. It's in the name. Barstool. Yeah, we're going to talk sports on a bar stool. Like, what you got? Oh, yeah, I've got like the over on Jalen Hurts' touchdowns. I've got him in fantasy. We're talking with the boys here, or joke about it, things like that. I get it. But that doesn't belong at Fox Sports. I think that's the last thing they're needing. And I think they're going to get themselves into a heap of trouble. I think you're going to have people like Big Cat, PFT commentator, really like suppressing their own words. I don't know. You're not going to get the full slate of their talent at Fox Sports if they're included in the content. But at the same time, Dave Portnoy himself on the big table talking sports. I mean, we already have Paul Feinbaum. Like, nobody wants him around, not that much. I mean, he's just an old guy yelling at cloud. Yeah, what you don't also want is a Zionist yelling at cloud. It's bad for business. And we'll see what happens, and nothing's confirmed yet. But that's in the talks. But yeah, that kind of wraps up like the Fox Sports portion of what's going on over there. Like, I mean, good riddance to Joy Taylor, Emmanuel Acho. Those people, they just, man, I don't like to be such a hater, and I understand a lot of this episode has been pretty negative, but I could not stand them. Every week they contradicted their takes, or they tried to be super creative with how they originally. And a lot of it too, you know, if you want to go deeper into the ESPN and Fox News or Fox Sports thing, is RG3. RG3 participated in ESPN, and he recently has caught fire, or has caught on fire, I should say, in a negative way, because there's a side of like comedy that if you're a professional or even individual trying to be kind of professional, like football analysis, like myself, that you just don't cross over into. No questions asked, period. You don't cross over into it. It is the content that I'm talking about, that comedic content for the sports world, is strictly for your barstool guys, your Joe Schmoes that open their phone after their 9 to 5 or during their lunch break and laugh their asses off at what somebody posted. That's what they talk about. That's not for the professional analysts to say, this is not okay. We don't do this to players. The racism is really heaping in to our society, and the division and hate. It's like, shut up. You just put it to light. You just put it to light. That's what you just did. You enhanced it. You enhanced the quote unquote, the hate that wasn't there. It's a joke. It's a joke. You know, the cover of NBA 2K26 with Angel Reese as a monkey. That's obviously not okay. But it's a fucking joke. And you leave it as a joke and you don't touch it. Some idiot posted that, and you let the idiot post it and let the idiots react to it. You leave it alone. You don't come on here and say, this is not okay, like blah, blah, blah. You're not doing anything. If anything, you're just inciting more violence. Not violence, but verbal communication in a negative manner. Leave it alone. I mean, shit, my ex feed on my personal account, it's wild. It's something you don't open in public because you could get caught, and I have no control over it. It's just the wild, wild west for social media. And don't get me wrong, it is hilarious, but not stuff like that, but other things on my feed. That's hilarious. That NBA 2K26 cover didn't pop up on my feed. It popped up on RG3's post. So I'm like, and so Shaq's threatening a bunch of them in the face, and Jason Whitlock's talking about it, and all these different analysts are ousting RG3. But that's not the first time he's done some stupid shit like that. And I criticized him appearing on the Netflix special on Christmas. The only person that did a great job on that Netflix special, or when NFL played on Christmas, was Kay Adams. That was the only one. But they had the whole DEI format up there. They had, they had Mina Kimes, not Junior Seau, RIP, Junior Seau. Mina Kimes, what is his name? They had the fake girlfriend, Monty Te'o, Kay Adams, and RG3. And it wasn't a good debut. Now they should keep doing that, but it wasn't a good debut. Not even close. But shout out Kay Adams on that. She did a good job. She held it down. She carried the boats. Okay, here's where we kind of get in the nitty gritty. Shamar Stewart. I talked about him before. The Texas A&M Aggie, first round draft pick. He was drafted 17th overall to the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, Shamar Stewart, his talent coming out of college is based purely off raw talent. It's not statistical talent. He didn't have a lot of sacks. I think he battled some injuries, but his metrics are what kind of enhanced his draft position. Now, that hasn't been talked about as something that could be prohibiting the Bengals from signing him. Because if you look at Trey Hendrickson, the other edge rusher on the other side of the ball, or if they're on the same side of the ball, it doesn't matter. They're both in a holdout contract position. And I've talked about that side before. So you can go back and you can watch that episode to get my analysis on the whole contract negotiations. I still am a believer that he gets paid this month. The Shamar Stewart does. I don't know about Trey Hendrickson. But with Shamar Stewart, something new came up, and it could be a game changer. No, but something new came up. So right now we're standing at he remains unsigned due to a contract dispute over voidable guarantees in his $18.94 million deal. He's lately been training at Texas A&M's facilities with their team, and he's sparked speculation about returning to college football in 2025 to re-enter the 2026 NFL draft, challenging NFL and NCAA rules. So the situation here, the dispute centers on a clause voiding future guarantees for disciplinary issues, unlike prior Bengals picks. So he skipped OTAs so far, minicamp and training camp, which is going to start late July. So he's set to skip that as well. And so he's missing valuable reps. So is Trey Hendrickson. But these rookies need to get their reps in. That's important. That installs trust with the coaches, with the players, and so forth. If unsigned by November 11th, 2025, he can't play in 2025 and could re-enter the 2026 draft. Any team except the Bengals could draft him in that 2026 NFL draft. So I want to go full literature legislation here. The NFL CBA Article 6, Section 6 says that unsigned draftees can re-enter the draft unsigned draftees can re-enter the next draft if they don't play. If Stewart returns to college in 2025, the Bengals retain his NFL rights through 2026, treating him as their 2026 pick. The trade deadline for unsigned rookies is August 5th, 2025. Post-deadline, Bengals can't trade him in 2025. The, quote, extreme hardship, end quote, clause allows arbitration for 2025 play, but it's vague and untested. Now, the NCAA eligibility, bylaw 12.2.4.2. Good Lord. Drafted players lose eligibility. Stewart would need a legal challenge, like the antitrust lawsuit, to return to Texas A&M, leveraging recent NCAA losses. That's the House versus NCAA in 2024. That's a very recent thing. Baseball's deferring rules could support his case, but litigation is risky and time sensitive. So it's a risk-taking scenario for him to not be signed by the deadline or traded by the deadline and return to Texas A&M to play another year and to re-enter the draft in 2026. But like I've said before, I believe he will be signed this month. I believe he'll get what he's looking for. I don't know why it has taken this long, but I think it'll get done. And for him to go back into the NCAA, I think it's too big of a risk. As we just read with the CBA articles in Article 6, Section 6, they can re-enter the draft if they don't play. If Stewart returns to college in 2025, the Bengals retain his NFL rights through 2026, treating him as their 2026 pick. But if he's unsigned by November 11th of this year, he can't play this year, and he can re-enter the next year's draft where any team besides the Bengals can draft him. So that's it in a nutshell right there. But going through all those legal troubles to go back into college and not lose a year of eligibility, that just seems like too big of a risk. So he and the Bengals are in quite a pickle here, and I'm just not a believer that they're not going to pay him. The fact that it has gone this far is pretty what would you call it? Pretty rich by the Bengals. I mean, if you drafted him 17th overall and you're regretting that draft pick, that's one thing. Trade the guy. I mean, it's as simple as that. If you don't believe in his talent and you think you made a mistake, trade him and just bite the bullet. Let somebody else take him over. Trade him for a second or a third, the value that he's worth. Get some picks back or whatever the compensation is for that, and let him go try his luck elsewhere if you don't want him. And then maybe he'll have like a revenge game. It'll increase his athleticism and his mental ferocity in the NFL. You don't know. But if you're not going to sign him, don't make him go through all that legal trouble to go back and try and play in college and do all that stuff. Don't make him do that. Trade him. And you got like 2 or 3 weeks left to do that. You got like 20 days to do that. So I think I hit that right on the mark. I think it is literally like 20 days. Yeah, because there's a 31st. Yeah, 20 days is August 5th from now. Oh. Yeah, I tell you. But yeah, that would be my Shatter the Script statement: is trade the guy. You're obviously something is prohibiting you from paying Shamar Stewart. Something. I don't know what it could be. Besides, maybe you don't believe in his talent. You look into the Bengals salary cap. Their 2025 NFL cap is $280 million practically. The Bengals have around $27 million in cap space. Burrow is the biggest hit on there. Obviously, he's at $46 million a year. Jamar Chase is at $21 million. I believe they franchise tagged, and that's what this $15.9 million with T. Higgins is. I believe that's a franchise tag. Maybe he got extended. I can't remember. But, shit. I think Jamar Chase is still... No, he just got paid, didn't he? Hold on. I'm pretty sure Jamar Chase just got paid. Yeah, he signed a 4-year, $160 million contract. Yeah, okay. That's wrong then. So, yeah, I was about to say. He's making like $40 million a year. That's wrong. And then T. Higgins, I believe, got paid as well. Shout out my notes. Yeah, T. Higgins was extended as well for a 4-year, $115 million contract with $40 million guaranteed. So, he's making $28 million a year. So 28. And I feel like Burrows. Let's check Burrows. Yeah, he's got a 5-year, $275 million contract. He's making $55 a year. What in the world did it give me? That's so stupid. I was reading that. I'm like, I don't think Burrow's making $45 million a year. That's stupid. Like, no. So Burrow's making $55. T. Higgins is making $28, and Jamar Chase is making $40. So the Bengals are FUCK'd for sure. And they still got to figure out how to pay Trey Hendrickson. Trey Hendrickson is obviously he's probably a top 10 edge rusher in the NFL, arguably top 5. He's damn good. And you got a first-round draft pick edge rusher in Shamar Stewart that you got to figure out how to pay 18-ish million on his rookie contract, first rounder. They are screwed. And I talked about this before, their defense last year was atrocious. It was atrocious. And now your two pivotal picks, or one pivotal pick and your two pivotal players on the edge are left unsigned because we don't know. Oh, and Sam Hubbard retired. Book it right now. I think the Bengals finished either last. No, they're not. The Browns are not going to be better than them. They're going to finish third place in their division at this point. And we're going to see another year where Joe Burrow does not make the playoffs. If this continues on this trend, they're cooked. They are absolutely cooked. And Pittsburgh, with the additions and trades that they make on their defensive side of the ball, they might be dangerous. I think they're as in a dangerous 9-win team. They're going to be scrappy. I think they can get to 9 or 10 wins, but I think the Ravens run away with that division. Holy crap. Wow. I thought it was going to be it's going to be a tough division per usual outside of the Browns this year, but yeah, that's going to be we're going to see another pick Joe Burrow and Chase and T. Higgins in fantasy because they're going to be throwing the ball around like, oh my God, like a busy airport. That shit's going to be flying. But long story short, trade Shamar Stewart. Trade him before August 5th. And if you're not going to do that, just sign the kid. Give him what he wants. He's not asking for the impossible. He's not even asking something out of the ordinary. He's asking something that you guys have done over the previous 4 or 5 seasons for other first-round draft picks, who some of them didn't even turn out to be good. So, what are we doing here? Anyhow. All right, well, I think that covers the 3 topics. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I think there's a lot of things up in the air, and obviously training camp is about to start, and then we'll get into some fantasy football type stuff. Stats and Scars will be back for training camp as well. Because Could be some more guest interviews. But long story short, season 3 is about to go underway. We're getting very, very close to the football season. Very, very close. And from there, it'll be guest appearances for college football analysis. It'll be maybe some call-ins, maybe some stats and scars talking college football and whatnot. Like it's going to be a fun fall, per usual. That is the time to be alive. But it's ramping up. It's getting here close. So if you're not following this, or if your friends would like something like this, an independent individual podcast network that debunks the mainstream media and goes after that sort of thing and has authentic raw takes, this is the place to be. This is the place to be. There's been a lot of chatter around this podcast and in certain regional areas in Texas where they're like, man, the show's good. The content's good. Yeah, I believe it is. I believe we do the right thing. I think noticeability is the hardest thing to achieve. But man, I mean, we kill it on Stats and Scars. And, I'm a believer that this show is pretty good. I think the guest interviews go well. I would like to do more. But yeah, I think this is the place to be. I'm going to advertise for my own product. I believe in my own product. But if you're not following us, I'll remind you guys again. It is Shatter the Script on Instagram and TikTok. It is STS_pod on X. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. You can like and subscribe on YouTube. Obviously, feel free to comment any of your analysis, share it with your friends. You can, follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Now, Apple Podcasts, you make sure you find the link, and I always post them, but make sure you find the link for Apple Podcasts. It's not the old black logo. It is the new logo, and you'll see it in pearly yellow gates, pearly gold gates. It's on there. But, yeah. All right, man. I'll catch you later. Appreciate y'all just joining in, and you guys have a good rest of your summer.